The patterns of power is what we are going to talk about next. This is something that I think is going to be a huge eye-opener for you. Now, this is something that I have developed over time. I had seen and used to work off of something that was called the emotional cycle of change. Now, when I saw the emotional cycle of change, it was absolutely mind-blowing and life-changing for me. And that is something that I had learned in the book, The 12-Week Year. Over time, as I started to regurgitate the information and start to really apply it to my life as well as with my clients, I then created my own model of it and called it the patterns of power. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen with you because it is a super powerful visual and I want to explain this to you in greater detail. So let me go ahead and pull up that image and then we will chat about this. So here it is, the patterns of power method. The POP method is what I have called it. So as you will see on this side of the PDF, it says unempowered state. Over here is empowered state. Now, just to give you a glance over, when I recognized what I was doing, I realized that my life was really just being repeated over and over again between these three phases, and I was always living in an unempowered state. So I'm going to go ahead and break these down. So phase one is what I call the dopamine hit. And the dopamine hit is really when you get excited to start something new, you decide that you're going to start over, you are only outcome focused, and you're only thinking of that end result, but you're not thinking of the consequences and or discomforts that take place during the process of the change, which is truly when the transformation takes place. So I am here to share with you that, you know, when you signed up for the MRA, perhaps that was the dopamine hit that you were looking for, you know, and sometimes for people it's, oh, I'm going to start keto. Oh, I'm going to start this. Oh, I'm going to do that. Oh, I'm going to start running 10 miles on the treadmill every day. It never ends. Now, let me just say that the dopamine hit is something that your brain is constantly looking for. And a dopamine hit can be useful at certain times of your life. And also, you know, when you are able to recognize that it is needed in a healthy way. But if you're somebody that is constantly, you know, starting something new and then deciding that, hey, this is too uncomfortable for me. I don't really care for these consequences of this transformation that I'm trying to obtain. So therefore, I don't like the way this feels. So I'm going to go right back up here. So for some people, they're just living between phases 1 and 2 continuously. And maybe they continuously start that phase, those phases over, repeat those phases Monday through Thursday. And then Friday, they say, forget it. And then Monday, they go back to phase 1. So every single week could be phase 1 between Monday through Thursday. And then they like decide like, okay, forget it. I'm just going to fall off. And then I'm going to go back to, you know, starting over. So at the end of the day, what I want this visual to mean to you is I want you to recognize that maybe, just maybe, this is something that you have been doing. So maybe you are doing the phase 1, like I said, through Monday through Thursday. And then if on Thursday you start to feel these consequences like, oh, the weekend's coming, everybody's going out, Sally's having a party, you know, blah, blah, blah. I don't really feel like dealing with it. It's too stressful. Let me wait until next week. You know, maybe I'll wait till after the holiday. Maybe I'll wait till after boating season. And then before you know it, you're continuously pushing everything out. But this right here is really where the work is done. And when you get down here to phase 3, this is that uncomfortable hallway. This is what I tell people. This is where I'm going to help you right here. This is where I'm going to help you ultimately divorce that dopamine hit. Like I said, there is occasional. Sometimes I'll say, like, here's an example. One of my one-on-one clients, I basically said, we need to give you a slight dopamine hit, but we were strategic about it, you know? And so I shifted her, the way we were going about things slightly. And sometimes that works, but if you're just doing it here and there, and maybe you're doing it under the eye of the coach, then it's all good, right? So you've got the phase 2 Your phase 3 is where you are finally, once and for all, recognizing that you've been doing this. You are finally embracing the discomforts. You're actually looking for the discomforts. You're actually looking for those things that can actually help you to grow in your life. And you are excited when those opportunities come your way. You know, I call them the lessons, right? So you walk through the uncomfortable hallway, you get uncomfortable, you start to see like, oh my God, I actually can be successful. I actually am not a professional quitter. I actually don't fail at everything that I do. I actually moved through these discomforts. I actually can be successful. This feels so fulfilling. Oh my gosh. Over on this side, I have found that is full of obsessiveness. It's full of the all or nothing, the shit show, or the perfectionism, you know, so there's a lot of negative emotions that hang out over here. But once you work through this and you get over here, you walk through your hallway, you are free. This, my friend, is what I call the freedom, success, fulfillment side. And this is where you feel empowered. And this is truly where your life starts to change leaps and bounds. All right, so I hope that that makes sense to you. Please comment if you had a big aha moment. I would love to hear your feedback. But that, my friend, is the patterns of power. We'll see you in the next module. Oh, fuck. Stop.